The price is the most ultra thing about the Galaxy S26 Ultra. $1,300 for AI features nobody asked for and a Snapdragon chip you can get in 5 other phones for half the price. But nobody is showing you these alternatives that are just as good. Like the Nothing Phone 4a Pro, for example. For $500, you get a 6.83-inch AMOLED display that peaks at 5,000 nits of brightness, which is nearly double the S26 Ultra's 2,600 nits. So on a sunny afternoon, you see your screen better on this phone. But so does everyone else. And I really mean everyone. If you want to make sure nobody sees what you're doing on your phone, NordVPN encrypts your connection so your browsing stays private. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee and up to 75% off when you sign up through the link in the description. The Nothing Phone 4a Pro runs on the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4. It's not the flagship chip, I know, but for posting on social media, streaming, email, and moderate gaming, you will not notice the difference. What surprised me more is the 50-megapixel periscope telephoto with 3.5x optical zoom. A year ago, periscope zoom at $500 did not exist. The S26 Ultra still wins on camera range with its 200-megapixel main sensor and 5x optical zoom, but the gap is a lot smaller than the $800 price difference suggests. The 5080 mAh battery with 65-watt charging gets you through a full day without thinking about it, and the aluminum build feels like a phone that costs twice as much. There is no wireless charging though. You also get Nothing's glyph interface on the back, which uses LED strips for notifications, timers, and charging indicators. And at this price, there is nothing else on the market that looks or works like it, which is fine for now, but could start feeling tight in 2 or 3 years if you keep a lot of apps running. Nothing promises 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security patches, which is decent for the price, but nowhere close to Samsung's 7-year commitment. I've put the link with the best deal on this phone and all the other phones in this video in the description below for your convenience. The Poco F8 Ultra runs the exact same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip as the Galaxy S26 Ultra, with the same processor and the same benchmark scores, and it costs around $800. So you are getting flagship processing power for way less than what Samsung charges. The battery is a 6,500 mAh silicon carbon cell with 100-watt charging, which means a bigger battery that fills up faster. It doesn't have wireless charging, unfortunately. What? The 6.9-inch OLED display hits 3,500 nits at 144 Hz, so the screen is both brighter and smoother. And the cameras are a triple 50-megapixel system with a 5x periscope that takes solid photos, even if Samsung's photo processing still has an edge in tricky lighting. So what does Samsung's extra $400 actually buy you? AI features. Yippee! More AI features, said no one ever. Even though the Poco F8 Ultra is not officially sold in the US, you can buy it on Amazon right now. Just keep in mind that you might be dealing with limited carrier band support. HyperOS is functional, but it is not as clean or as intuitive as Samsung's One UI. You do get 4 years of OS updates and 5 years of security patches, which is pretty solid, but a bit short of Samsung's 7. Still, I think this is one of the best value flagships you can buy right now. The OnePlus 15 costs $1,000 and it simply destroys the S26 Ultra on battery life. The 7,300 mAh cell is 46% larger, which in daily use means a comfortable 2-day phone where the S26 Ultra barely makes it to bedtime if you are actually pushing it. And 120-watt charging fills that massive battery from 0 to full in about 30 minutes. So even if you kill it, half an hour on the charger and you are back. It runs the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. The display is a 6.78-inch WQHD Plus panel at 165 Hz, and water resistance goes all the way up to IP69. The 50-megapixel camera system with a 3.5x telephoto takes dependable photos in good light and handles portraits well, but the zoom tops out at 3.5x optical, where Samsung reaches 5x, and the 8-megapixel ultra-wide is noticeably weaker than what the other phones on this list offer. OnePlus OnePlus promises 4 major OS updates and 5 years of security patches, which is good, but not Samsung's 7. You are giving up the S Pen, Samsung's ecosystem, and that extra zoom reach, but for $300 less, you get a phone that outlasts and outcharges the S26 Ultra. And what does Samsung offer to close that gap? A privacy screen that finally lets you use Twitter in public. I am sure you've never heard of this next phone, but before I talk about it, if you enjoyed the video so far, give it a like and subscribe, because every video on this channel shows you the gadgets actually worth your money. I was talking about the iQOO, and that is exactly why Samsung does not want you to find this phone. The iQOO 15 runs the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 as the S26 Ultra, but it adds a dedicated Q3 gaming chip on top that pushes its Antutu score to 3.84 million, which is higher than the S26 Ultra's 3.72 million. So this phone is faster in benchmarks and it costs about $850. The 7000 mAh battery with 100 watt wired and 40 watt wireless charging means you get 2-day battery life with fast top-ups from a cable or a pad. The 6.85-inch 2K display runs at 144 Hz, and the cooling system is built for long gaming sessions where other phones would start throttling. If you game on your phone, the iQOO 15 is still running full speed an hour in when the S26 Ultra already gave up. The camera is a triple 50 megapixel system with a 3x periscope that does well in daylight and portraits, but falls behind in low light and zoom range. Origin OS is functional and has improved a lot, but it still carries some bloatware. Plus, the interface does take some time getting used to, especially if you are coming from Samsung or stock Android. iQOO promises 5 major OS updates and 7 years of security patches, which actually matches Samsung. The catch is availability, because the iQOO 15 is not officially sold in the US. It is one of the best-selling flagships in India and available globally through importers. But if you want full US carrier support, this might not be the phone for you. The Xiaomi 17 Ultra costs roughly $1,299 and has one of the best camera systems you can buy on a phone right now. The main camera runs a 1-inch sensor that is about 30% larger than what Samsung puts in the S26 Ultra, which means more light, more detail, and better low-light results without leaning as hard on software processing. The Leica color science gives photos a natural warmth that Samsung's processing tends to oversaturate. The telephoto is a 200 megapixel Leica periscope with mechanical optical zoom, which physically adjusts the lens glass for sharper images across the entire focal range instead of jumping between fixed lenses. And the ultra-wide uses a 1 or 1.28-inch sensor that captures more detail than most phones' main cameras. On the video side, it supports 4K at 120 frames per second with Dolby Vision HDR, which is professional-grade recording from a phone. The battery is 6,800 mAh with 90 watt wired and 50 watt wireless charging, and the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 keeps performance in line with everything else on this list. Xiaomi promises 5 major OS updates and 7 years of security patches matching Samsung. The trade-off is Hyper OS, which has improved but still does not feel as polished as One UI, and you lose the S Pen and Samsung's ecosystem entirely. If you are spending $1,300 and the camera matters to you, the Xiaomi 17 Ultra gives you more hardware for the same money. Samsung is selling you a brand and an ecosystem. Xiaomi is selling you a camera with a phone attached to it. I would buy any of these phones before I buy the Samsung S26 Ultra. But if you want to see the best performing phones that annihilated the iPhone 17 Pro Max, watch this next video.